we can talk about the first round of MotoGP in 2022. How exciting is that? Dean, why can't people just be called Dean Smith? Dean Thanisen, I hope I said that right. Francois Jimenez, Roberta Arosa, Francois Holzhausen, Jean-Pierre Grandling, Adrian Cole Rousseau, Andre Kruger, Revan Stein, Jason Holzhausen, Joan Mulder. GP is back. Woo, how's it, guys? Yeah, love it. Love it. GP is back. Brandon Willemse, Siggy Zimmerman, Mark Freeman. Mark, how are you, my buddy? Hope you see you looking at maybe a new BMW S1000RR there, Mark. Good choice. Very good choice. Trisha Moorman. Hello, the beautiful Moormans. Gotta love the Moormans. Just love the Moormans. Kristen Matthew Holloway. How you, Kristen? Justin DP. Daryl Holmes. How you, Daryl? Hope you're keeping well, my bud. Wesley Taylor. Nick Bester. Hugo Funny Cat. Gwen Campbell. Marcus Swanepoel. Festus Smith. CP Wirtz. Connie Orendahl. Evening. How you doing? Shane Foley. Sup, Rob? How you doing, Shane? Gary Foss. Warren Roberts. Bryce Reeder. Daniel Standubar. If I said that right. Roy Prado. Luca Jefferson. Hey, Luca. Jacques Smuts from Asterian. Hey, Jacques. Looking forward to the Fireblade Day, end of April. Check out that Honda CBR Fireblade group for more details on that. Red Star Raceway. Jet Latham. Michael Voleslis. I know I say that wrong, Michael. I sent off your beautiful Nikki Hayden, Michael Rogers art piece today. So, yeah, let me know as soon as you get that. You're going to love it. Jordan Marsh, Beverly Peterson, Undal. Beverly Peterson, how are you? Still waiting for Cam. Still waiting for the sensation that is Cam Peterson to join us. Sam Greenwood, Anthony Carrero. What's up, Rob? I've been waiting the whole day. Yeah, listen, sorry about last night, but your family birthday had the kids here screaming, and I was like, I can pull this off. I know I can. I can do this. And then I couldn't pull it off. Yeah, but like everyone said, family comes first. So, and it worked out nicely because we couldn't get the superstar that we're going to talk to just now last night. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. So many people. We've got over 300 people already joining in. Jaden Sneyman, Roy Thomas, Richard Porthitter. Yeah, so anyway, we are, of course, going to talk to Brad later. He said he'll probably join at about 8:30. He's at Courtney's house, romantic dinner or something, and then he'll join us. Very kindly taken time out of his busy schedule, especially after the weekend that he had, to talk to us. And then Darren will do hopefully later this week or early next week. So keep a lookout for that. We'll chat to Darren and ask him if he spoke to Remy Gardner yet. We'll see if he's done that. Wayne Jolson. Hey, Rob. Wayne Jolson from Plains, Trains, and if you want anything, MotoGP, memorabilia, Formula One memorabilia, Brad Binder stuff, Fabio Quartararo stuff, Mark Marquez stuff, you go to Plains, Trains, and Automobiles, Bedford Center, and Melrose Arch. Okay, do yourself that favor and get yourself some cool, like merchandise like this. 100% cap, cool. Just wear it. Mark Lloyd, everyone at George Hadji, if you live Flufflo, and the Yamaha are one part of their team today. And then, yeah, just so many. I wish I could just say hello to everybody. Natalie Mayring, hello, Rob. Nice to chat again with our champ. Just love MotoGP just because that Olik Twier Bruce. Did I say that right? That Olik, and I have to say that Olik Twier Bruce. Then it sounds right. If I say that Olik Twier Bros, it's just not Afrikaans, and I am Afrikaans. Luis Volga, hello, Rob. Thanks for doing this. No problem, Luis. I'm going to contact you because my mom comes back from England, which means I've got a babysitter, and then we can go to that beautiful hotel of yours, maybe me and Ames, for a night of romantic sleeping. We're going to just sleep. That's all you do when you go away for nights in hotels. So anyway, everyone, just Stacey Fisso, who bid highest on the Brad Binder boot. Stacey, you're underpaid for that boot. I hate to tell you, you're underpaid for that boot. We got to redo that because now the man is just sensational. We're going to talk to him later. But anyway, everyone's up here. Travis Basson, Travis, all the way from, I can't even remember what country he's in, but he's overseas and he's one of our really clever guys. It is major admin to get Yamaha KTM, allow them to come on here, considering they are without PRP. It is, Travis. It's not easy. There is a game to play now with Dorna. Pre-COVID, as the chair nearly breaks. Is the chair about to break? No. Pre-COVID, you could get a media pass easily, and things were a lot more open. These days, it's not easy. Dorna pretty much control everything, especially within race week. You can't put up those media debriefs that we did anymore, any video content you can't put up during, then you can't talk to riders during race week. It's very, very hard. So I'm very, very lucky that I've got a great relationship, obviously, with Brad and Darren and their team. Sebastian from Red Bull KTM and his whole team are very good with us. Maria and her whole team from the RNF Racing team, with you RNF Racing team, with Darren. Very, very lucky that we've got these resources and this amazing bond with these two amazing kids. Rainer Albrecht, how's it, Robbo? Rainer, get your entry in. But if I don't see you at the racetrack this weekend, daar gaan kakwees. Stephen Kolgoxi, Keith Bushby, Keith, all the way from Cape Town. Keith Bushby, let's just say this. Remember Boogaloo's, the skate store? Yay, Boogaloo's, cool. And when the Binders were, correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, I think 9 and 7. Brad was 9, Darren was 7. Trevor came to me and he said he just wants stickers on their bikes. He just wants some kind of sponsor sticker on the boys' bikes. Cool. So I, at the time, was doing Motorcycling SA magazine. So we put that on it. Yeah, but he just wants them to have a sponsor. So Boogaloo's went to Keith, because they were sponsoring me at the time, went to him and said, listen, I got these 2 youngsters. I think they're pretty cool. They're good kids. The family's cool. Can we maybe sponsor them? Cool. Stick it out, their whole big bus, their bikes. That you would have seen a picture of Darren Binder on Facebook the other day with Boogaloo's all over his bike. That's thanks to Keith Bushby, one of the Binder brothers' first ever sponsors. So yeah, there we go. Travis Passon, Switzerland. Okay, nice, awesome. So let's dive straight into this. Before I carry on, I have only started following MotoGP recently. Super excited to get to know the sport and these amazing guys. Daleen Hetting. Daleen, welcome to the greatest sport on the planet, in the universe. It really is. And we hope we can give you as much information as possible. Brad will be joining us. You'll hear from the horse's mouth about his weekend from start to finish. Okay, so let's hope that we can entertain you. Let's get started now. I see Boxburg internet is still cocked. No, Nick, don't say that, man. My internet looks fine here. It must be your cock internet. Rex Kelly, proud of boy Ross. Such a great ride this weekend. Yeah, Ross Branch doing great. Unfortunately, Bradley Cox crashing and hurting himself. So I think he's out there. So yeah, that's unfortunate, unfortunately. Where is Darren currently? Brad and Darren are somewhere. Hopefully in the next years we'll start seeing Rashane Woodley. Hopefully we will. So anyway, yeah, I was going to start the show off with this other special guest before I had Brad, and that was going to be Sheridan Moraes. But the beautiful, my best friend in the entire world, my best mate in the entire world, which is Sheridan Moraes, just hasn't got a clue how to manage his time. Just can't manage his time. And yeah, is driving on his way to Daytona in America. So there was no way he was going to be on it. But yeah, he asks anyway. But that's just how it is. Where's Don? So Don, we're going to get on a special guest every now and then. But unfortunately, yeah, there's just I'm gonna just throw in some guests. I'm gonna just throw in some guest appearances so we can just do a couple of different faces and a couple of different people all the time. So yeah, that was the plan, to get Sheridan on this episode, and that never happened. But we've got Brad, so it's a good substitute. So yeah, let's while we wait for all good in Boxburg, MotoGP's back. Yeah, while we wait for Brad to join us in about 20 minutes time, let's talk quickly about MotoGP. Finally back, absolutely awesome, and what a way to kick off the season. Fantastic. Let's start from the front and go backwards. Anaya Bastianini, ridiculously good, just so good. He was the only rider that even in the hot afternoon conditions could make the thing work and find extra time. So I think he had the advantage that he was on a 2021 Ducati with all the setup from last year, with all the data, so he hasn't had to do as much development as some of the newer bikes. So I think Bastianini, Mariska Hutchinson, Bastianini was superb. That was phenomenal. I couldn't agree with you more. But I think he had the advantage of having all the data from the 2021 bike. Having said that, you still have to ride the thing. You still have to manage a race, and he managed it to perfection. I did not have Bastianini down for a win. I certainly had him down for top 5 because he's become a top 5 rider, and he did. He really surprised me. Half race distance when he started coming, I thought, when this guy comes, he comes. There's no fade with the Bastianini. He just gets better and better. And that was kind of the theme with all Ducatis. And that's why, in a way, it's a pity the Bagnaia and Martin incident took place, because I think they were coming. If I look at Zarco, who was 16th, 17th for most of the race, he all of a sudden came through and he beat Fabio Quartararo to the line for 8th. So I think the Ducatis had a lot more pace, and Bastianini showed that towards the end of the race. So I think Bagnaia, certainly trying to make that move on Martin, was starting to step up the pace and just got it wrong. And I think Martin was just managing, hanging back, and then was going to attack. So yeah, it's a pity that didn't play out, but again, it just makes it more exciting. I see Ducati are going on about, or Bagnaia certainly is not happy because he says, I'm not here to test bikes, I'm here to win races. Now, if that's not a shot at Ducati, I don't know what is, because obviously they spent the whole weekend testing parts and testing things because they're still developing the 2022 bike. Just didn't, Bagnaia doesn't want to test. He wants to climb on and go. So yeah, it's a pity that never happened. Brad Binder we'll talk about because we're going to talk to him and find out exactly, but simply phenomenal. The guy from Friday, when I spoke to him in the first debrief on Friday, and he's normally like, when you get in those debriefs, you can see he's like, okay, I've got to find a nice way to put things. Things are going very cock, but I've got to be diplomatic about it and find a nice way. And you can see he's very reserved. And from Friday, there was this cocksure, shoulders up, chest out, Brad Binder. That was just like, we found something. I feel something. It's going to be a great weekend. And it turned out to be a great weekend. So we'll talk to him. Paul Espargaro, very impressed. When he was leading the race, I was like, that's cool, Paul. 10, 15 laps to go. You're going to drop. You're going to fall back. Don't worry about it. And to his credit, he stayed there even when the tires were gone. And he was just floating like a butterfly, but not stinging like a bee. He kept it going, and he pulled it put it on the podium. So brilliant ride from Paul Espargaro, who looks like he's enjoying the new Honda a little bit more. So that's another great sign. Just another guy to have at the front. I think it's brilliant racing. Just behind him, Malaysia Espargaro, his brother Aprilia coming. Hats off to Aprilia. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's awesome. And then just behind them, there were really good rides. Marc Marquez. And I know people are going on a lot about Marc Marquez now, saying that, he must retire. And that was a 70% fit Marc Marquez. And if you can qualify in the front row and finish top 5 at 70% physically fit, 70% confident, 70% happy with the bike, as soon as he gets to 80, 90% and 100%, the field's going to have to worry. So I still have him penciled in, other than Brad Binder. I have him penciled in for one of my title favorites to take the title, to be honest. Bagnaia and Ducati should technically be one of the favorites, but Bagnaia's got this chink in his armor. He'll string together 3-4 phenomenal races, and then something will just go wrong, or he just can't string it all together. He's a phenomenal talent, and he will be challenging for the title, but whether he's got that final little something, I don't know. Marc Marquez certainly has it. I think if Brad and KTM can carry on this form, I know it's early days. If they can carry on from that, he's certainly got it. There's no reason to say why Anaya Bastianini won't be in the mix. Marc Marquez for the win. I hope that's WTF Stacey first. I hope that's for the win and not something else. But yeah, I think Marc Marquez. I think people are just overdoing the whole Marc Marquez. The Oak for 2 years was basically, and a guy like Marc Marquez does not go 3 years without winning anything. He's too mentally strong for that. So he realizes now, this new Marc Marquez 3.0 realizes that risk reward. Tire body wasn't feeling it for the first race. Back off, finish 5th. But as soon as he gets going and comfortable on that bike, I think it's a whole nother story. So don't write off Marc Marquez just yet. Fabio Quartararo. This is, and I'm going to pitch, well, I can't really pitch the question to Brad because this is what I was going to pitch to Shez if you joined us. I worry about Quartararo because the first test when Yamaha didn't bring enough in his mind, I think he's mentally switched off. I think every session there's just this, an excuse because the package isn't the most fantastic thing in the world. But a Caddy 21 model won this weekend in Qatar. Quartararo was effectively on pretty much the same bike he had last year, which won the championship. So why was he now in 9th place when a GP21 Ducati could win the race? So I don't know. I kind of look at that and I think that none of the Yamahas performed. Morbidelli was not brilliant. Fabio got the best out of a cock situation in 9th. Darren, is a rookie. You can't expect too much from him. He's there just to ride around. We'll talk about him just now as well. Carlos Ferez, Uncle Rob, going to mapping 2. We're going to ask Brad about what mapping 2 means. We're going to dive into Brad. Trust me, we're going to dive bomb Brad. That's exactly what we're going to do. Bastianini last, Simon Burns, what was Bastianini riding last year? He was riding a GP19 model last year, and he's been upgraded to a GP21 this year. So this is my argument with the whole Yamaha and Quattararo. Okay, you're on the same package as last year, and you finished 9th, and you won last year. Okay, you got to look at conditions, and I understand that. But was it really that bad to finish in 9th place? I mean, KTM, made the step. Honda made the step. Suzuki made the step. But, a last year bike won the race. And your championship winner from last year on last year's bike is essentially was in 9th place. So I kind of question mark that. And I think Quattararo mentally has maybe got another deal in mind with a Honda or with a Ducati. And he's saying, well, I'm not going to go out there and risk injury and throwing in the weeds on a bike that I've got to override. Simon Crayford said it best when we spoke to him and over the weekend. You can't expect Fabio to now ride over all the problems like he did last year to win the championship. You can't expect him to do that again. And I don't think it is going to happen again, to be honest. Look, he realized he knows how to play the championship game now. And that is, if you can't compete, you finish. First to win, you must finish. And he finished in 9th, picked up points. So got the job done in that sense. But 9th place is not good enough from, a champion from last year. Essentially got the number 1 plate on your bike. Natalie Mayring, what is that mapping to? We'll ask Brad. So basically in MotoGP, they cannot run full-blown horsepower for the whole 25 or 30 lap race because they just can't carry enough fuel. So they sometimes switch to mapping 2. And if you noticed when they switched to mapping 2, Brad did drop off the pace a bit. Kind of just saps horsepower, saps power delivery just to maintain, help with tire wear and to help mainly with fuel consumption. So it just slows the bike down basically a little bit. So, but we'll ask Brad all those kinds of questions. Craig Dickinson, why hasn't much been said about Dovi? Razlan said preseason he was a title winner. Same bike as Fabio, absolutely nowhere all weekend. Yes, Yamaha over Donkey, but has Dovi just switched off? Craig, when we asked Simon Crayford the same thing, it was, should he have come back? I don't think so. MotoGP is a new ball game. The Brad Binders, the Bastianinis, the Jorge Martins, these guys have taken it to another level. And it's a level that's way past that Dovi and Rossi. It's a level that caused Rossi to retire, albeit at the age of 42. But it pushed Rossi out of MotoGP because it's just a whole new animal. And Dovi, look, he's a big name, second in the championship, runner-up. And he's a fantastic guy. I've met him he really is a fantastic guy and he's a fantastic rider. But in this modern day era MotoGP, I don't think you can take a half a year out and come back and compete. Stephen Berry, Dovi keeps saying riding style to suit bike. I just think he's too old and doesn't have the bike. 100%. Look, in many ways, Dovi, the Ducati made Dovi look good. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Because if I look at Petrucci, who I love, Petrucci was never a MotoGP a MotoGP championship contender. He won races because he was on a Ducati, and moving to KTM proved that. The Ducati, more often than not, kind of emphasize riders' talents. And it sounds harsh, but I'm trying to put it in a diplomatic way. But that's the honest truth. And this move with Dovi, in my mind, has proven that point to a T. Because, Dovi riding around where he was madness. He was dicing with Darren Binder. Credit to Darren Binder. Oh, as I hit my mic. Don't take anything away from Darren Binder, but Dovi and Maverick Vinales dicing with Darren Binder. Credit to Darren Binder again, but it shouldn't be happening. Let's be honest. I saw a couple of comments here that I just wanted to answer. Can't see it now, but let's talk quickly before we get Brad. Let's talk about Darren quickly. For me, on the Friday media debrief, there was me and one other journalist. That's it. Now, on average with Brad's and Marquez's and that, Brad averages about 5 to 10 journos. Marquez averages 10 to 15 journos. Rossi, you couldn't even get in. Dovi's, I've been on once or twice, and it's between 5 and 10. Darren had 2 on Friday. On Saturday, he had 2. On Sunday after the race, he had 4. And I'm a little bit disappointed with the amount of attention that Darren gets from MotoGP. There was that rookies article they put up now on their website where that delves into all the rookies and how they did and speaking to them, and they didn't even really mention Darren. But anyway, so I did the debrief with Darren, and he was so happy because he reached the checkered flag. He finished his first ever MotoGP race. You know what? I take my hat off to the guy, because with all that pressure that he had to deal with, he's been through a lot, Darren, and there's been a lot said, you know, and you can be a strong person and a tough person, but you still see that stuff, especially this modern day where social media is what it is. You know, Darren, yeah, it must have affected him. It has to affect him. It simply has to affect him. And he did so well to block that all out and finish the race. And he did a phenomenal job in my mind. He did an absolute phenomenal job. And I went on the debrief on Sunday night and I said, Darren Binder, there's a lot of journalists and guys out there that have said a lot of things. We all know who I'm talking about, that aren't man enough to come and say, come on your debrief and say, you know what, well done. Just well done. I said, Darren, I will say it on behalf of the whole of Africa, whole of South Africa, and for all those who aren't man enough to do it, but well done, my bud. You did a phenomenal job. Great. Tell me about it. And he was so happy. He was buzzing. You know, I was stressed. I went into turn one at the start, pumping the brakes 3 times, and I didn't want to take anyone out. And he was overthinking things. Got into a nice rhythm, passed Dobby, passed Vinales, and got into this nice rhythm, got racing. Then, you know, obviously the lack of experience in MotoGP race conditions started to come. Tires started to fade, started to drop off, got into this battle with Remy Gardner, Ralph Fernandez, and Fabio Di Antonio. And he said he had a great race, learned a lot, learned more in the race than he did throughout any test. And, you know, it's a kind of thing, chuck your kid in the pool and they'll learn how to swim. That's exactly what Darren did, and he swam perfectly. And then the journalist came on and said, we've just had the debrief with Remy, and she said this, that you were riding like Moto3 and it was terrible and this. And Darren just got, you could see he just got deflated because, like, you know, whatever I do, it's going to be scrutinized. Whatever I do, no one's going to, you know what I mean? It was whatever he did in Moto3, it was this. And, you know, there were some instances where Darren did bring it upon himself, but most of the time it was just pick on Darren. That's how it was. And when he heard that, I could see he was like, but, you know, I've just had this fantastic first MotoGP race where I nearly picked up a point, nearly finished top rookie, dicing with Moto2 world champion, beating Ralph Fernandez, the next best thing, on a KTM bike that just finished second in the hands of his brother, beating DJ Antonio on a GP 19 or 20 or whatever it was, 21 Ducati. Phenomenal job. And then Remy Gardner has to say this. And he just said, you know, I was on a racetrack racing. So it's not my job to let you pass. You must get past. And there were laps where Gardner was ahead of him for a whole lap and Darren passed him back. So anyway, that I could see that hurt Darren a bit. And if I look at it now, I can understand why Remy Gardner's upset, because he was dicing with this guy that was supposed to be at the back of the grid, being lapped by miles because he can't ride a MotoGP bike, according to some people, and he skipped Moto2, and how dare you, and you can't do that. But here he was dicing with the Moto2 world champion on a more competitive package in the KTM, with more MotoGP time, because they had that extra test at Misano last year, and here's this guy coming from Moto3 now dicing with him. That doesn't look good on your CV, and Remy just didn't like that. Look, Darren's an aggressive rider, but so was Valentino Rossi coming up, and no, you know, we loved him for that. Valentino Rossi made his career and his living out of being that aggressive rider. But with Darren Binder, it's a problem. So, yeah, you know what? I'm a big fan of Remy Gardner, and I said it there, I must say. But exactly like Craig Dickinson says, I've just scrolled down, Remy's ego was a little bit bruised. That's exactly what happened. Darren's race faster lap was 0.4 quicker. Simple solution to Remy's complaints, be faster. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Darren Binder was not supposed to be dicing with those guys. He wasn't supposed to. Ralph Fernandez is the next best thing. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think he's fabulous. And Darren Binder beat him in his first race, not doing the whole Moto2 thing. Dicing with Remy Gardner. Dicing with Dovi and Vinales. Darren Binder, you are my hero, my bud. You are my absolute hero, and I couldn't be proud of you. Remy Gardner, listen, I'm not going to go on about this and that and that. I think, like I said, I met him. He's an awesome guy. I think he's a talented guy, but I think he just, he exactly like what Craig said. He just got a little bit, his ego got bruised there, and he reacted in the wrong way. So I'm hoping they talk it out. Darren still said, I'll talk to him and see what he says. And I saw the press release afterwards. He said Darren was riding like a Moto3 and wasn't safe. And you can't ride a MotoGP bike like you ride a Moto3 bike and finish in 16th place. It just doesn't happen. and set a faster lap time, as Craig pointed out. So it just doesn't happen. So let's see what happens with that. I'm going to try and get you guys involved here, but there's just so many comments coming in that it's hard to keep up. Yeah, the race.com, that's where it is, and we all know who's part of the race.com, so let's not even go there. It upset me when I heard that, to be honest, with the whole Gardner thing, because it kind of deflated Darren a bit, and it was sad to see, because he was so proud of himself, and he should be. And there were a lot of news sites and that did give Darren praise, which I loved on Facebook and the net, and there were some that just passed over it as if it was like, oh well, and it's not oh well. It's a fantastic result that he and all of us should be very, very proud of. And there's more to come. There's going to be races where Darren Binder is going to battle his mood off and probably finish last. But there's going to be races like this where he raises a few eyebrows and proves people wrong. So I can't wait to chat to Darren, either later this week or early next week. Keep a lookout for that. We'll do a live chat with him and we can hear exactly what he has to say. At least the next round in Indonesia, that Mandalika track, he goes to a track that he's ridden at before. So let's see. Hopefully that'll help him out a little bit, give him that little bit extra edge, and let's see. Hopefully he can be dicing a little bit further up. Does anyone have access to Remy Gardner's social media? Someone needs to tell him what racing is. It is, and guys forget this sometimes. Rossi forgot it, in a couple of instances now that he was a bit older. These youngsters it's racing. It's MotoGP racing. It's what the Rossis and them made, and Marquez's made them so famous, was racing. Let the guys go race. It's your job, Remy Gardner, to pass Darren Binder and beat him properly. It's not Darren's job to leave the door open and ride in a way that you can beat him. Do me a favor. Mario DeFritas, how's it, Uncle Rob? How are you doing, Mario? Well done to your little oak on the short circuit racing the other day. So anyway, the MotoGP was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk to Brad, who, like I said, just what impressed me throughout the whole weekend. The way he spoke, he said KTM made a massive step. They've given him a bike. And I loved Simon Crayford's comments after. I actually watched the After the Flag just before I came on here. My brother said, watch it. And Simon Crayford put it perfectly, because people said, and KTM, they've improved. And yes, the KTM has improved, clearly, because Brad can ride the thing. But that was more a case of Brad getting that result than the KTM, if you really delve into it. It was more a case of Brad Binder just rode the wheels off the thing and got there. Credit to KTM, though, because they've obviously given him a package, and maybe they're listening to him more than they have in the past, but they clearly gave him a package that he could do that. And he said, quote, I could hit apexes that I could only dream of before. And he said from the first lap, and you'll hear him say it, he felt something different with this new bike. So something's working, and he adapted to it, and he was able to take advantage of it. His exact words were, I felt more in control. I felt like I was riding a bike that I could push the limit, and I could understand and feel in control of what it was going to do. Whereas last year, they would have this feeling, then they would have this feeling. There was just this massive gap in between good and bad that he just didn't know. Now he's got this more of a feeling with the bike. And I think credit must go to Guidotti as well, because something he's done has helped, whether it be a direction with the package that he's done, or just the way he uplifts the team or something. But he's done something. He really has done something to bring to that team, and shown in Qatar. So cannot wait for Brad to finish eating his piece of chicken and broccoli at Courtney's house, home cooked by Courtney, I'm sure. And then he can tell us all about it. So yeah, phenomenal. MotoGP it is going to be the greatest MotoGP season we have ever seen in our lives. And I will put 25 Rand cash on that. I can tell you that right now. Ruan Dietlef, just outside the points and only 0.12 from being top rookie in his first race is not bad news at all for straight from Moto3 newcomer Darren Binder. He certainly has celebrated a strong race, even if Gardner did just pip him to a point. Although some of that form is perhaps to be expected given the advantage of being on the beginner-friendly bike that won last year's race. However, Gardner's comments about Binder's riding style after the race did leave a little cause for concern. Yeah, I agree. Look, and I'll ask Darren, you're on the bike that essentially won the race last year. He's on Morbidelli's factory bike, which was Maverick's factory bike, which won the race there last year. And I asked him, so what kind of Brad Binder running 10 minutes late? Sorry, uncle. No, don't worry, Brad. Eat your chicken, my bud. No worries. Eat your chicken, my bud. And he said, I said, what kind of settings are you using? Surely he would just plug in Vinales or Fabio's settings on their bike that won the race. And he said, yeah, we did. And I had access to all their settings and everything. And he used that as a good base, tweaked one or two things to make him feel comfortable. Obviously, it's rider preference. And he said he delved into the data, and even on the weekend, he could see Quartararo and them were 10 times better on the brakes in turn 1. In turn 11, he was also didn't carry enough speed. That sacrificed him through 12, 13. So he's getting the job done. He understands. He still said the race weekend really did. He realized what a big deal MotoGP is, and it did. It woke him up in many ways. And it was a good thing, because now he understands it more. Every time he does it, every race that goes, he's going to understand things more. He's got to take advantage of qualifying, much better than the way he handled it in Qatar. You've got to make every lap count. So it's only going to get better for the guy. But I was supremely impressed with him. Reef Robertson, what's up with Miguel? No show on the weekend. Miguel's a strange one, because he is also one of those top 5 aliens. There's no doubt about it on his day. I think with his contract up at the end of this year, I think he's focusing on rather getting out and finding another package. This is speculation. This is me just talking. But I think his mind is elsewhere. I think he's gone, you know what? I've pushed this KTM to the limit. I've got a Pramac Ducati, a Suzuki knocking on my door. And I think his mind is elsewhere in many ways. I think maybe KTM's direction is, let's focus a bit more on Brad, who's getting the results towards the end of last year and, helping us in this direction. Could be that, but there's something missing from Miguel. We know what a talent he is. You know what? He deserves to have that alien tag. He's just not getting it right at the moment. The confidence is missing from Miguel. And I think his mind is elsewhere. I think he has pretty much in his mind called time on his KTM career, knowing that a cost is coming. Ralph Fernandez will probably step up into the factory team next year. And he has his 1-year contract. Maybe that contract discussions haven't opened. Maybe KTM have already told him to look for another ride. I don't know. But I think his mind is elsewhere, to be honest. But kind of like Fabio Quartararo. I think he said, okay, this Yamaha's cock. Let's talk to other people. And he came out before the season even started. And it came out and said, if Yamaha don't improve, we're going to talk to other people. Can't do that at the start of the season. That's already told people where your mind is. And if I looked at Fabio, in many ways, the old Fabio was back, coming across, looking at the board, not happy, hitting the tank and throwing his arms up. So I think he just mentally lost his way a little bit this race. I think the team will tell him, listen, mate, you've got to calm down, bring it back. You're the champion. You're on the bike that won the championship last year. These other guys are still developing. The Banyayas are going to crash. And, it's the longest MotoGP season we've ever had. Calm down. So, let's just wait and see. Did you hear Simon say Brad is going to be a giant of the sport? Daniel van der Sant. Daniel, I think Brad is already a giant of the sport, but yeah, I think he is also going to be one of these guys, the Bastianinis, the Martins, that are just taking it to another level. And Brad at the 27, 28 to 30-year-old, that in many ways is your prime. That's your most mature time. That's when you've understood things. This is Brad's 3rd season in MotoGP now. He understands the whole situation better. Look, in many ways, he's still going to have to learn. He's going to the Argentina MotoGP, which is the first time he's going to be riding a MotoGP bike in Argentina. So there's still those little hurdles that are going to be thrown his way. But it just seems like him and KTM are on a much better foundation, a much better starting point to progress. Last year, they couldn't buy a top 15 in the first race, and then the second race we all raved that Brad finished 11th at Qatar on a KTM or 9th or whatever it was. He had the meanest start I've ever seen in my life. He's been watching videos of me. There's no two ways about it. But he got the meanest start. But it just shows you how important that is, because it sets your race up. Martin was on pole position, didn't get a good start. Look what happened. And I think that is a big base to why Brad also did so well. Got himself in that 3rd row of the grid, which for a Brad Binder is a front row, let's be honest. Got that good start. It set up his whole race. He put himself in prime position to finish where he did. And in the past, he hasn't been able to do that, qualifying 16th, 17th, 18th. And then you're spending your whole race having to put moves on. And you just, at that level, you can't do that. So, yeah. Graham Stratton, Brad Binder, definitely not there for a haircut. No, Graham. No, Brad doesn't go there for a haircut, my bad. He just doesn't go there. Brian Ritchie, 73 plus 33. 73, 33 plus 40. So Alex Marquez, I've been asked this question a couple of times. And I mentioned it to Simon Crayfar in that Talking MotoGP we did a couple of weeks ago. To me, a Luca Marini and an Alex Marquez are the weak links, if you like, in the strong field of MotoGP. And listen, that's saying nothing bad against them. They are supreme riders, phenomenal riders, top contenders. But in this very competitive MotoGP championship, I think they are the weak links. And Alex Marquez, in a way, kind of proved it again the whole weekend, just was never there. On a Honda that's getting better, that Nakagami kind of got better on, that, Mark's not 100% feeling it yet, but Paul Espargaro has certainly benefited from. So Alex Marquez, question mark. Luca Marini, question mark. DJ Antonio, question mark. Begzeki had a brilliant qualifying, didn't pull it together in the race, but I think he can do something. I think Remy Gardner is going to be great. I think Ralph Fernandez is going to be great. Alex Renz set himself up perfectly in practice on that Suzuki and then just fell off a cliff again. Jean Mir was competitive and got the best out of it in what, sixth place or whatever. Ren's just behind him, but the Suzuki's made a big step, but just weren't able to bring it in qualifying or the race. So that's something they're still going to have to fix. They've improved their bike. Both riders say they're happy. They've got faster machines, but they're still not this race winning week in, week out package. They've still only won Mir's won the one race, and Renz has won a couple of races, and this is Mir's fifth season in MotoGP, and Renz's eighth kind of season in MotoGP. If you look at what guys like Oliveira in his fourth season has won 3 races, Martin's won 2 races, and Paul, if you start looking at the numbers like that, Alex Marquez, podium once, I think. So yeah, it's a question mark with Alex Marquez and them. I do. Aubrey Lebachang, Rob, I need to check if Darren's bike has a mounted camera so that we can see this race, as it seems MotoGP cameras are more focused on the front runners. Yes, I actually had a conversation the other day with Vanna Kotzer, who said, Rob, I've got a brilliant idea. Let's get hold of Dorna and let's get hold of all the footage, onboard footage from all the riders, and make it available on an app for you to watch, so you can switch during the race to other, you know what I mean? You can, in the race, switch to Darren Binder's camera and see what he's doing, because they never focus on the race then. And it's a brilliant idea, but sadly, Dorna don't put cameras on everyone's bike. So like a Darren Binder and a Remy Gardner potentially probably wouldn't have cameras on their bikes. And even if they did, would they use that footage? I'm not too sure. But I would love to see that footage, because I don't think the back end gets enough coverage. So let's see. Jonathan Fisser, who's the proud owner of a boot that his wife bid on. His wife had to bid on that boot for him. He had to pay, but his wife bid on it. Did you tune Brad? There are 560 people waiting for him to finish his broccoli. I did. And I think he has finished his broccoli and his chicken now, because I see a Brad is tuning in here, but he's in Kempton, kind of on the outskirts of Kempton. So I think the signal there might be even pucker. If I could say it like there we go. Remy, we're not going to carry on about Remy. Okay, so Brad is here, but I'm just waiting for him to show his picture. I can't see his picture. I can't see his face. I can see you there, but no camera picture. So this might be a trial and everything where I'll bring him in and then he's going to look all funny, and then we're going to have to do a sound check and a video check and all that. So we'll see. But Brad is joining us out. Broadside, Bradley Johnson. Rob, let's do a challenge. Every race Darren does not finish last, we contribute 50 Rand towards your beautiful daughter per race. Who's with me? She's Bradley. That sounds awesome. I'll be a damn rich man because I have full confidence in Darren Binder. That'll be fantastic. But that's awesome. But see what happens there. That would be fantastic. I would just like to do it because I think Darren will prove a lot of people wrong there again. So let's do it. Michael Voleles. I just hope Darren is given more time with the year. I hope he is given another year. That is my biggest worry, is that, okay, Darren, let's put you in MotoGP on the Kaka's bike on the grid, the oldest bike and whatever, but just sit there for a season, shut up. We're going to wait for these other guys to come and then we're going to move you on. I would like to believe, and I do believe, that in the MotoGP paddock, they look at more than just that kind of way. And I think in many ways that is why he's on the MotoGP bike, because the team that he worked with last year went, this kid's got something. So I do think they look at more than that. And I'm just hoping I agree with you. As I see, there we go. Brad's picture is now perfect. He's adjusting it. That looks good. There we go. There we go, Brad. That's much better. Yes, like looking like a top MotoGP rider. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, because you've been listening to me for the last 40 something minutes, and I am now going to introduce the greatest rider to ever grace MotoGP, the man who finished second on the weekend, and he's still adjusting his camera. Let's hope his audio works. Brad Binder, can you hear and see us fine?
How's it, Uncle Rob? Sorry I'm so late. How's it going?
Good on yourself, man.
All good, all good.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you were late because you were probably eating a piece of chicken and some broccoli that Courts cooked you.
Yeah, we're just down the road having something to eat quick, but unfortunately, geez, time got away from me a little bit, so I raced home, and as it goes, I got home and the iPad doesn't seem to want to work, so on my phone.
Dude, well, thank you so much, man. We all appreciate you taking out the time. I know you've been a busy man. You've just come off that phenomenal ride. Brad, just tell us. I was telling everyone before we came on that, from the Friday when I spoke to you in the debrief, last year when I hooked onto debriefs, I kind of cringed because I knew I was going to see this Brad sitting there going, okay, so how am I going to sugarcoat this? How am I going to make this sound politically correct? Because, there were just these problems that you had to kind of be politically correct. But from that Friday debrief, even after the FP2, after FT1, Foster's, FP2 didn't kind of look good to us on the outside. We kind of thought, oh God, please no. But yet here was this Brad Binder sitting in this media debrief going, guys, I've got this. This is sweet. So just tell us from Friday to Sunday, give us this breakdown of this weekend of yours.
Well, all in all, I think it was one of the best starts to a Grand Prix weekend I've ever had. I mean, I had a small issue at the beginning of FP1, so I missed out on a few laps, which compromised our plan a little bit. But at the end of FP1, I stopped and I was in first place. So, you always visualize it, and that's how you want it to be, and that's how you want it to start. But when it actually happens, you're kind of like, geez, that's great. So, it was so cool to top FP1. FP2 was the most important session for the weekend because that's where the conditions are the best, and that's when you have to put in the time to try and go straight to Q2. And unfortunately, I don't know, I think it's maybe just the little bit different temperature maybe, or whatever it may have been, but we had a small issue with the clutch opening in the braking zone. So whenever I'd shift down some gears, sometimes it would be fine, and other times the clutch would just open a little bit. And when you're braking at that last meter possible, if you just have, or if you, as you can imagine, you pull in the clutch on your bike, what's going to happen when you're rolling into a corner? So it was difficult. So I think I finished 14th or 15th in that session. So that was really disappointing because I felt so good, and I knew I could have done an amazing job there. But the next day in FP3, things were great again. Felt super good. I think I finished top 5 in that session. Unfortunately, I managed to improve my time even in the super hard conditions, but not enough to go straight through to Q2. So I did the Q1, FP4, good again, really, really good. Had great pace, was happy. Q1, I set a really good lap time. Managed to finish that session first. And in Q2, I had no tires left, so I had one set. I only had one set to go, and I preferred the medium front option, but I never had any mediums left, so I had to put a soft. And it was really good. Did my quickest time that I've ever done in Qatar by more than a second. So that just shows you what a huge step KTM have made and how much better things are. And to qualify in 7th place was good. I mean, considering that we had to come through Q1 to end up in 7th was an incredible feeling. And I knew going into the race that we could hopefully do something good.
So I always kind of look at, especially the first race of the season like this, with you guys still developing, and that. Do you think going into the Q1 maybe helped you in some ways and benefits you because it's that extra little bit of track time? Or, I mean, would you have rather just gone straight into Q2? I just kind of think that extra couple of laps in Q1, especially for your mindset, because you've got to push You've got to set a good lap time to get into Q2. I think it just gets you pumped, hyped, that little bit extra ready for Q1.
Definitely. The big thing is, you need to be in Q2, because if you're not starting on those first 4 rows, it's going to be so much harder than your work you leave yourself for Sunday is huge. So the big thing is, it's 0.1 difference to going through and not. So it's not like you did a shit job and there you're starting 15th. You can miss it by a millisecond and there you are, you're nowhere. So it's so tight, and you really got to try and get the absolute best out of it. So this weekend, I think it was a benefit, because I went into the Q1. I'd already done 2 time attacks before I did my final one, and I knew what to expect. And obviously, with all the guys going out on soft rubber pushing, the track gets so tacky. And by the last run, I noticed there's so much more grip, and I could really take advantage of it. So it would have been great to have been on the first 2 rows, but to be 7th as well worked perfect.
Yeah, I was saying before you finished your chicken and broccoli and you came here, starting from 7th, and the start that you got, if we look at Martin, who started on pole position, didn't get a start, found himself a little bit back in the group, and then how his race unfolded. In the MotoGP as it is now, I mean, how it's more vital than ever to get yourself in a good starting point, get a start that you got, and just set yourself up for a race. And I think, you rode a phenomenal race to keep yourself there in the mix, manage the race perfectly. But that start, when you get a start like that, do you in your mind go, right, Bok 1 ticked, now I'm ready to do this, compared to, oh, cock, now I've got a shit start, I've got to fight through, your whole mentality shifts.
For sure. I mean, you go to bed that night, and I think you do a good 100 starts before you actually line up. So you have every scenario kind of in your head of what could happen or what would happen. And I think what happened there was the plan A. So, I mean, I managed to get a good launch, got past the guys on my inside, and could cut across, so I could at least try and defend my line going into turn 1. So that worked out perfectly. Got a really, really good jump. And a big part of the race in Qatar was just really protecting the tire, because the wear on edge there is really, really high, and also your drive is a bit of a problem too. So you have to be super clean with the throttle and try not abuse the rear tire. And if you're starting back and you get stuck in 10th place or something like that, you have no chance of trying to save to your tire. You literally have to do whatever you can to try and make positions. Whereas now I was in a good position, I could just sit behind the guys, and I didn't have to try to do anything crazy to make up time, and I could really try and protect the edge of the tire a little bit. I mean, when I got to the end of the race, tires were dead, but I suppose everybody's were. And it makes you realize, geez, if I hadn't have actually taken it that little bit easier, what a bad situation you would have been in.
So we got a couple of people asking you about like tires, when you say you've run out of mediums and all these different scenarios. I know when we did the media debrief on Saturday night, the one journo asked, what kind of tire choice you're going to go with. And you said yourself, soft front gives better edge grip, but not enough support under braking. The medium gives you support, but not enough edge grip. A lot of guys use the soft rear. You guys went medium. How hard was it to make that medium choice?
Well, I think more than anything, it just comes down to your wear. If you can make the tires last or not. And for me, it was clear last year. We tried to race the soft front in the first race of 2021, and Miguel and I both had no front tire left on the right hand side with about 10 laps to go. So we had tried that option, and we knew it didn't work. And then the second weekend we had to race the medium, which was a completely different tire to what we had at the moment, or what we had this year. So this year we had a medium tire that was pretty much just one step in durability. It's just one compound harder, but the temperature and all of that, it was in the same zone or the same range. So it was a tire that worked well in cold conditions too. So we were able to use it, and it was a huge benefit for us, because we would have struggled a little bit more for sure on the K front, and we've had to be a lot more careful to not destroy it. As for the medium, for me, I didn't feel a huge difference in grip between the soft and the medium. and the medium definitely was a little bit more constant, and I didn't have to look after it as much as I would have had to on the soft. So it made the choice for us quite easy, and I was happy with my choice. And when I was able to sit behind the guys on the softs at the beginning, I knew that was a good decision. And I tried to wait and see that if the race would really come to me when the guys' tires drop. But they managed to go very far in the S, a little bit further than I expected.
So before we get into any more racing questions, Stacey Fisser was the lady that bid highest on one of your signed boots that you very kindly gave me towards Nova's fundraising stuff. And she just wants to know, her 9-year-old daughter doesn't even fit in that boot. What size shoe do you take?
Yeah, that boot is actually, it's the TCX personally make all my boots for me. So it's roughly like a 6.5. So it's the size 39-40, something in the middle.
I try and tell people those little Brad Binder HJC mini replicas that you were selling. They're actually not mini replicas. They're actually the full size thing. That's how small your head is.
The right size.
It is. It's about the right size. So Brad, you said in the one debrief, from the first lap on Friday, you felt a difference with the bike. What is that difference? I mean, what changes have been made for this incredible jump from, KTM Qatar to second, challenging for the win?
The first lap out the box already, I went into turn 4 and turn 4 and 5. It's a little double right-hander, and normally I'd be hanging on the edge of the tire there just to hit the apex, and the front just kind of came around and went straight towards where I needed to go, and I was like, geez, it's the first time that's ever happened. And in general, the whole bike just worked so much better. The bike's a lot more natural than it was last year. I can still brake really hard, and actually I can brake harder and later than I could last year. But also, as soon as I start to release the brake and just try to roll into the corners, I'm able to keep that corner speed, and the bike stays turning without pressure on the front brake. So that was a big step that KTM made, and it was mainly all down to just big setup changes. We found a bit more grip in the rear, and just were able to run a completely different setup, which gave me a lot more margin in the front. It actually made the bike really stable, and I liked it. From the first time I rode it, I wasn't sure about it, but then we did a back check to our standard bike, and I realized that it had a lot of potential. So from there, we just really played with the setting and more normal work. We found our base that I was happy with, and I said, okay, this is the bike I like. And we started to really work from there and try and just find the best base setting possible. And so it made our off season our pre-season a lot more like relaxed, a lot more control. We weren't just throwing parts at the bike every 2 minutes, and that's good, that's not, and maybe not. It was just a lot more simple and just getting comfortable. So in general, it was a really good off season. Sepang, it was safe to say I was really, really worried still, because I had a lot of issues there. But just a few small setup changes just gave me the confidence I needed with the front. And then I started to be able to push. So made a huge difference. And the guys did their homework this off season, and it's paying off.
I spoke to Simon Crafar a couple of weeks ago after the Mandalika test and the Sepang test, and he, Simon is just a magician when it comes to MotoGP. He knows everything. And he just kind of said he still thinks KTM should do, stop trying to fix problems by throwing things at this thing, fix it by throwing this part and doing this. And I think you've kind of just, said it there. You guys kind of went back to basics. Don't try and fix the problem by throwing money and things at it. Go with a base setting and work from it from there. I mean, is that something that you found from Sepang to Mandalika? Because like you said, Sepang, we were all going, oh God, Brad, please get out of your contract, go ride a Ducati or something. Then in Mandalika, we went, okay, well, this is pretty cool. And now, we all love KTM again. What was that big step from Sepang to Mandalika, to Qatar?
The big difference was we pretty much just were really overloading the front tire, which was clear the whole of last year. We had a lot of issues when we never had a hard enough front tire that gave us the good support to really brake hard and still get into the corners well. So we kind of knew that we needed to find a way to take pressure off the front tire. And there was just certain things that, like different parts that we tried, that made us realize more that the more weight we took off the front, the better the bike was working. And by doing the same thing, the more we unloaded the front, the better the rear grip got. So we pretty much just changed up the balance of the bike quite a lot. Like compared to last year when we would make small steps here and there, we made maybe 5 or 6 steps, and it just seemed to get better and better. And it just gave me a lot of confidence on the front. I felt the ability to brake hard, and in the fast corners, I'd still have enough load on the front that I wouldn't feel that I'm going to wash the front, but the bike would still actually be turning really well. So we found a good balance between being able to stop really well and still have that good turning. So yeah, I mean, can't say exactly everything we changed, but the guys, they made some big steps with the setup, and yeah, it was clear for us, especially once we got to Mandalika, that it was a good direction.
So, you used the words, I feel more in control a lot in all your debriefs over the weekend in Qatar. And the one journalist still said, just Brad, in qualifying, you were like this animal, you were back to your Moto2 days, being aggressive on the bike. I still asked, this left leg comes flicking out now, and you just looked like this animal that we saw in Moto2. And is that purely just down to, right, you still use the words, I hit apexes I could never dream of before. Is that just right? Now I've got this bike more to where I want it, and I am just so confident enough now that I'm just going to put this thing wherever I want and throw my left leg out to help me turn and do whatever I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's as a rider, you always look for margin. You look for being able to be as fast as you want to be or can be, and still have that little bit left, that if you really want to push or you really give it a little bit extra, or the feeling when you brake 5 meters too late, but you can kind of get away with it. And that's more or less the feeling that we found. That's something that I really gained, that I struggled with a lot in MotoGP. I mean, my first season, every time I fell off, I crashed with the front. And I'd always push the front really hard, but always difficult to understand if it was there or not. And, as you gain the experience, you understand more and more. You understand the tires much better. I just felt like I was able to make a bit of a step in my riding. And, of course, the bike made a good step too. So I think the two worked really well. And, yeah, I was quite confident going into the weekend in Qatar, and I knew I could do a good job, but I didn't quite expect it to be that good.
So race plan now, you've qualified well, you get a good start. Cool, you've ticked that off. You under the bubble, I've got a brilliant start, I'm riding the mix. You're riding, Paul gets away, you're riding, you battle with Mark, you get into second. Bastianini comes past, gets to the front, Paul drops off. You then get the pit board that we all see that says Brad Binder mapping 2. So what is your race strategy then? Brad, go as fast as you can at the beginning. When you see mapping 2, detune the bike, save fuel, save tire, calm down, because you did have this like little drop where we thought, oh God, no, please. This is when you play mind games with all of us and we all kind of like pull our hair out. And then you come back and you challenge for the win. That's what we see from the outside. Was that the game plan?
Well, the big thing was, like I said earlier, you had to be clever in a way. That's Qatar is a bit of a special track because you spend so much time at full throttle. The one issue you have is the fueling. Like the maximum amount of fuel we're allowed to run, you won't make the full race distance. So you have to detune your bike a little bit for that, or at least lean it out. And obviously that takes away a little bit of performance. And also you need to protect your tire. So you use some of the electronic aids to try and protect it a little bit extra. But yeah, as the tire wears out and stuff, things change and you need some small different settings. So my map 2 is something along the lines that would help me later in the race when we started to lose grip in that. And yeah, as soon as I I clicked the map. It helped me find a couple tenths a lap again that I just started to lose.
Yes.
So then I noticed the gap at that pulled I could more or less hold, or it was hovering more or less. And the last 2-3 laps I really felt good and was actually able to catch up a little bit, especially the last lap, which was great. But yeah, I mean, I know I finished super on the limit with my tires for sure, but it's all about playing with the limits in racing at the end of the day, and it got us to the end. So I was really, really happy to finish the race in second place.
It was phenomenal, dude. It was absolutely phenomenal. We're not going to keep you much longer because I know you still need to finish your second helping of broccoli. So now you finish the race, you go across the line, fist pump. I've done it. KTM second, Qatar. Life makes sense again. I've got a bike that can hit an apex. I've got a bike that can drive. It doesn't sound like a rattlesnake coming out of turns anymore. This is fantastic. At what point did you go, oh shit, how did Darren do? And look behind and say, please, where's Darren? Where's Darren? There's Darren, and go and tell us about that feeling of seeing your younger brother, after everything he's been through, after everything that's been said, come around. There he is, and you get to high five your brother in the same MotoGP race at the finish of a race.
Yeah, I mean, it was special. Of course, when I finished the race, the first thing I did was try to look at the screen to see what's going on. But you don't get much time to really have a look around and see what's cutting during your race. So when I saw Darren came past, I was just absolutely stoked that he finished, because it's not an easy race in Qatar, because it's easy to make mistakes there. The tires change so much over the race, and also the conditions at night, they can get a little bit sketchy. As soon as it gets a bit cooler and the humidity sets in, the track gets a little bit slick at times. So it can be tricky. And when I saw Daz finish, I had no idea how well he had actually done. So it was insane. And then, it was so cool just to see my brother on track. And, you kind of think, geez, he's just finished his first MotoGP race. So it's a big milestone for someone in their career. And I mean, when I got back to the box and my team were telling me how he got past Davi at the beginning and leading all the rookies, and that was so cool. I always knew Darren was a great racer, and he had a bit of a tough time in the weekend. He had a lot of small issues, but he was always able to make the best of it. And in the race, he just went for it. So it was awesome to see. I mean, to see him in front of some big names at the beginning there and fighting amongst the rookies is insane. These guys, like Remy, for example, is the Moto2 world champion. He's had how many years on a big bike, and Darren, coming fresh from Moto3, was able to fight with him the whole race. So super impressive. I'm super proud of Daz. I think he did an incredible job. And he just needs to stay calm, keep learning, and I think it will come to him. You just need to keep working at it, because if you chase too hard, unfortunately, they seem to bite quite often. I learned my lesson in my first year. So I just want Darren to do exactly what he did in Qatar, and I know he'll just start picking his way through the water.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. That's a perfect way to put it. Brad, mentally, what changed now? A couple of people asking you, do you feel like you more, you've won a MotoGP race at Brno, had a tough time. You've got your first podium other than a win. How did you, preparation, mentally, physically, everything change coming into this year? Did you say, right, whatever I get thrown at, I'm going to make the best of? Or, how did you change everything? And what kind of part has Guidotti played in this? Because from the outside, we see, Guidotti did very well at Pramac. They were sensational. Pramac didn't have a great weekend this weekend. KTM and Brad did. And there's Guidotti. First of all, how you approach the season, and then the Guidotti situation?
Well, I think I changed my mindset a little bit in the middle of last season already. I was always a guy that I've never entered a race not wanting to win and not trying anything I can to. And at the beginning of last year, I really was working myself into a hole. Like the more I tried, the worse things went, the harder I trained, and I just ended up being in a place where I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. And it was almost, it was the first time I'd felt like riding a bike was a job. So going into the second half of the year, I said, you know what, I need to change something because this is not cool. And I just really try to take a step back, stop worrying about all the other things around me and just trying to do the best with what I had and do the best job on the day. And my only goal was to leave the track happy. So it's not very easy when you're not winning, but yeah, I mean, it went so much better already the second half of last year. And I've just tried to carry that through to this year. And yeah, I mean, a big thing in MotoGP is experience. If you know what you're getting yourself into, you arrive at the track before you've been there, you kind of have a good idea what tires are going to work for you, what you have to do. You've been in the situation before, so you already 2 steps ahead, you know, and it gives you or you can come into a weekend being so much more calm and relaxed and just really take things step by step. Like a big thing for me, for example, was in warm-up, my tire didn't come up. Sometimes it happens in MotoGP where a used tire, unfortunately, you can't get the temperature up in it again, and it just has no grip. So I finished warm-up in 20th, and you know, kind of you don't even worry about it because you knew why, so you don't stress. Whereas, say last year or the year before, I'd be scratching my head thinking, "Geez, like what did I do? You know, did I forget how to ride a bike overnight?" But there's just a whole lot of small things that you really need to take into consideration, and you need to see the bigger picture in MotoGP. But yeah, I mean, we have had quite a few small changes in our team. We have Francesco, who's our new team manager, and he's a really great guy, super nice guy. He's so friendly, you know, he just gets on great with everybody in the team. He's just a real positive, happy, go lucky kind of guy, you know. So it's always a pleasure to be around him. And, you know, I think he just brings a really great vibe to the team. He really encourages everybody. And, you know, I really feel like he's helped a lot of the guys give that last little bit. So that's been cool. But also, you know, we've got another guy called Fabiano who came over from Ducati, and well, he's been with us from I think it was already the middle of last season pretty much. He just wasn't at the track or at any of the racing yet. I think he was just more studying everything from behind the scenes. And this pretty much the first test in Sepang is where he brought all of his ideas or all of his input from what he's seen from especially the second half of last year. So I think all that studying and all of that, it was just a bit of like a delayed effect. You know, it takes us a bit of time to understand what we need, and they were able to bring us a package that was a lot more competitive. So yeah, super grateful to them, and of course my whole entire team worked endlessly this off season. As you know, KTM doesn't like to be at the back, and yeah, we're starting to find ourselves closer to the front in more sessions, and we just need to see now. We need to go to a whole lot of different circuits and different situations and see how we fare. But so far, my confidence is good. Bike's feeling good, and I'm pretty sure it's going to work well at other tracks too.
So yeah, the last question, Mandalika up next. You had a good test there. It's a new track for everybody. What do you think you can, you know, pull off another Qatar? You're going to be in the mix?
I'd like to be. You know, the test there went really well for us. I don't know where I finished in the end actually, but in general, the test was really good. I mean, on the first day I was top 3. Second day I was first the whole day, and then at the end I had a small issue with my chain, so I didn't get to do my last time attack. So I don't know where I finished that day. And the last day, I had a pretty good day. Don't know where I finished, but I was there. So that was the main thing. And we played a lot with settings there, and I feel like our base is really good going into the weekend. One big thing for Mandalika is the tires have changed a little bit. The guys have changed the casing of the tires because we're having some issues with wear. But yeah, I think we're all in the same boat there. We're just going to have to figure out which tires work best. And it's going to be a cool race. I mean, the track's incredible. It's such a cool track. Unfortunately, it was really dirty last time we were there. But the guys have been scrubbing it, I've heard. So it's actually even been resurfaced, some of the track. I think the whole first 2 sectors have been resurfaced. So it's going to be a little bit up in the air to see exactly how things are at the beginning. But it's nice to go to a track that you've tested at and had good feeling at. And yeah, there I think it's going to be really important to try and get a good start or a decent qualifying. So quite a difficult track to overtake on. But yeah, like I said, I felt good there, and I think I can do a good job there too.
You're a machete. I tell you every time, you're a beautiful man, Brad. But thank you for taking the time out to chat to everyone. Everyone is going absolutely crazy here. They can't believe what's happening in their life right now. We really appreciate you taking out the time. Enjoy your little bit of a break here that you've got. That's what makes us even more so special, that you take the time out in your break time. Enjoy riding a 1901 or 1879 bike, counting dashed lines on the road to turn right and stuff. And yeah, we're behind you all the way. We wish you nothing but the best. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. Everyone's going crazy here. And until next time, good luck, Brad. And I will see you in Argentina and Qatar.
That's it. That's it. So thank you so much, everybody. Thanks to everyone there, everyone watching, for all the support. I really, really appreciate the huge support I have back home. Rob, thanks again for having me on the show. And yeah, look forward to catching you soon.
Good man. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Brad, once again. Until next time, we will catch you on another Talking MotoGP after the next round at Mandalika. Cheers, everyone. Goodbye.
All the best. Cheers, guys.